So before we start with our today's topic, which is cost center and its related reports, let's understand what cost center is all about. So whenever in our accounting field, we talk about cost centers, before that comes cost category. So what is cost category? Cost category is used to accumulate the cost or profits for parallel sets of cost center. Repeating myself, cost category is used to accumulate the cost or the profits for parallel sets of cost center. So what's cost center is all about? So a cost center is any unit of organization to which the transactions can be allocated. Repeating myself, cost center is any unit of organization to which the transactions can be allocated. Now let's understand that how we implement the same feature in our accounting module of RealBooks. So I've already logged in RealBooks, as you can see. So to enable the parameter of cost center or activating the cost center feature in RealBooks, you need to click on settings, configuration, and then you need to click on accounts, and there comes the cost center option. Now over here, as you can see, there are multiple options reflecting in the settings page. The first one says use cost center. So this is the primary parameter that needs to be enabled if you want to use this feature in RealBooks. So what does it say? Let's quickly have a look on the description which is written over here. The user can use cost center accounting for controlling purposes within the organization. This enables the user to check the profitability of individual functional areas and provide decision-making data for the management. So once we enable this, automatically one more option peeps in over here, which is cost center type. So there are two types of cost centers which are being used currently in financial module. One is your single cost center and the other one is multiple cost center, or in short currently as dual cost center. So today we'll be taking a look on the cost center reports based on our single cost center parameter. So once we have enabled this feature, what we need to do is we need to go to Masters, Accounts, Ledger, Create. So in this case, whenever we are creating any kind of ledger which is related to your income or expenses, we need to activate the cost center parameter. So what we need to do, for example, I'm just quickly giving one ledger name as session expenses, and we'll give the ledger group as indirect expenses. And then we have to activate the cost center parameter in our masters. So once we enable this parameter and click on save button, we will be getting a pop-up or an option while doing the transaction at segment level to feed in the cost centers. So before we get into the transaction page or a specific segment, we need to first create the cost categories and the cost center. So let's have a quick look on the cost categories, which is already pre-created in the system. The user needs to create it. I have done it beforehand itself. So there is one cost category which I have created, which is named as business nature. So I'll just quickly edit it and show it to you what all details needs to be fed in. It's very simple. You just need to add the cost category, which is business nature. And over here, I have updated it under primary. You can always have a nested version of cost categories, just similar to ledger groups or item groups as per your convenience or the requirements of the management. Then we'll quickly go to masters, accounts, and cost center. So these cost centers also needs to be created under the created cost category, which is business nature in my example. So I have created few of them. Let's have a look on them. So the cost centers, which I have created it with the name as nature 1A, 2A, 2B, 3A, so on. So all these have been placed under the cost category as business nature. Let's quickly edit to show what all details needs to be fed in. So first we'll have to type the cost center name, which we are going to use in our transactions, and the cost code, which is an optional field, and then the cost category, so that we have a proper view of reports if we want to download or extract the data based on the cost category part. The visibility needs to be enabled, because in case if you have disabled this, you won't be able to select this particular cost center at the time of transaction. So this was about the masters that needs to be first created before we begin with updating the entries in RealBooks. So I'll just quickly switch into some specific segment. And then I will go to transactions, accounts, and voucher. So I'm taking an example of accounting voucher. If the parameter of cost center is enabled in any particular ledger, you can always use those details in your inventory entry as well. So I am taking the example of journal. And over here, I am giving the ledger name as session expenses. So the moment I clicked on session expenses, the system asked me to update some amount in debit side, and then a pop-up of cost center will be reflecting in front of your screen to feed in the cost category and the cost center. So the cost center details can be updated in transaction in two ways. How to do that? First, I will be selecting the cost category as business nature. And then we will be selecting the cost center as nature 1A. So you can see the cost category was created with the name as business nature, but in bracket, just for an identification, my system denoted it with CG, which is a short abbreviation of cost category. And then the cost centers has been denoted in the system as CC in bracket. So over here, if I want to give the bifurcation of 1000, I can give it as the cost category and the cost center is updated over here as nature 1A, and the amount that needs to be allocated on the cost center nature 1A should be 600. And then if we click either on the plus symbol or on the enter, I will be asked to put in one more cost center or multiple cost centers as per my requirement for feed in the breakup. So this is nature 2A, and then I can click either on create, or I want to have some multiple blocks to update the bifurcation of this 1000. Then again, we can click on this new block, and then you can update any other cost categories and the cost related cost centers as per your requirement. So these are the two ways you can feed in the cost center details in the entry to achieve a proper report from RealBooks. Then you can click on create, and then since the link is enabled in the system, so you can check out this session of link on our official YouTube channel as well as in our training session of website. And do let me know in case if this session is required again, so that we can have multiple feedbacks on our link status report as well. So yeah, this is the way we are supposed to create the cost categories, cost centers, and feed in the details in our transaction screen. So this was the process. Now quickly we'll dig in into reports, because we can create these entries as per our requirements and the reporting system of the management. So I'll switch to all segment, because whenever we are viewing the reports, we have to switch to the all segment so that we can have a proper extraction of all the data which is updated at segment level. So to go to your cost center report, we'll have to click on reports, accounts, daily reports, and then cost report. So towards your left, there are multiple options reflecting to view the cost center report, cost report in different format. So the first one is PL columnar, I will change the date from 1st January 2024 to 31st of March 2024 in order to extract data which is already pre-booked in the system. So there are again two types of options. One is ledger group wise and the other one is ledger group wise details. So first we'll go with the ledger group wise option, and the profit center over here, I will be selecting as nature 1A, 2A, 3A, 4A. So I'll currently select only 4 natures. You can select more than these options which is reflecting in your system. Just make sure at a time to reload the data on your user interface or in front of your screen, only 5 options are allocated. But if you want to extract the data more than 5 cost centers, you'll have to click the related cost centers and click on export. The data will not reflect on your user interface. So I am taking 4 options over here and I'm clicking on search. So as you can see towards your left, the data which is reflecting as ledger name. Again, the ledger name, ledger amount is reflecting, and then nature 1A is my cost center. The bifurcation of the ledger amount is nature 1A, which is 1000. Nature 2A, no data is there. Nature 3A, no data is there. Nature 4A is 2500. So the row wise total is reflecting under your ledger amount for a proper identification or view of your data. You can always click on the expand all or collapse all as per your requirement, or in case if you don't want to expand all the reports, all the data at once, you can just simply click on shift enter or on the icon which is reflecting over here. So this way PL columnar will help you extract the data as per this format. And you have an Excel export format as well. It will get exported. The data will get exported as it is, the way it is reflecting on your user interface. I'll show one of it. So there we go. We have the basic details reflecting over the header, which is the company details and the period for which we are generating the data and when it is getting exported, with the details of ledger name, ledger amount, and the multiple cost centers that I selected at the time of exporting the data. So this was the option which gave the proper view of ledger group wise. Now let's check out how does the report format reflects for ledger group wise details. So once I click on this, we will be able to see that there is a bifurcation of debit and credit reflecting with the net amount. Whatever net amount is, the balancing figure of debit and credit, it will be reflecting over here with the bifurcation of cost centers, which is reflecting on your screen. And these bifurcation again are the bifurcation of the ledger amount reflecting on the seam. And again, the same combination, you can click on shift enter to expand a particular ledger group, or you can simply click on expand all or collapse all as per your requirement. Again, you do have 2 more options coming in over here. You can click on either Excel or browser print as per your requirement. Let's switch to the other report, which is reflecting over here. So the moment I click on PL columnar segment wise, I am not getting any search icon over here. So we need to select appropriate dates, select the appropriate cost centers for which you want to extract the data, and then you will be getting an option of selecting these segments. For example, if I'm selecting the segment as Baliganj and Tollygunj, as you can see in my screen in the filter, and then we will be extracting the data in our Excel format. Now again, there are 2 Excel formats over here. One says Excel segment-wise cost center columnar, and the other one is Excel cost center-wise segment columnar. So let's quickly check what is the difference between the 2 exports. The first one, let's click on it. The data gets exported. So the segment-wise cost center columnar means your segment will be reflecting at the top, and then the bifurcation of cost centers based on the selected segments will be reflecting thereafter. And a total column will be reflecting. Similarly, there were two segments that I selected. So one was Baliganj, then all the nature, all the cost centers which I selected, the data got exported accordingly. And the other segment was Toliganj, for which the data got exported with the bifurcation of cost center, which I selected on the UI. So this was the segment-wise cost center export. Now let's check out the Excel cost center-wise segment column now. So it's just the vice versa of the report which I just exported in front of you. Now the nature or the cost centers are reflecting at the top with the bifurcation of segment-wise amount. So the nature one is my cost center one, for which the segments bifurcation is reflecting for Baliganj and Toliganj, and so on. So one was nature 1A, then 2A, then 3A, nature 4A. So the bifurcations will be reflecting. If the data is there, you will be finding the details filled in. If the data is not there, it will show you the data with blank value. Now let's switch to the third report of cost report, which is cost group. Now in our cost group option, we are getting few fields, which is again from date and to date you need to fit in. And there are two types of option reflecting over here. You can view the report either ledger group wise or ledger wise. So first we'll go with the option of ledger group. And over here, I would like to feed in as, say, suppose indirect expenses itself. And then we will select the cost category as business nature, the one which we created as an example for today's session. And yeah, we can see the data of cost group with the cost category details of business nature. Now we can click on this arrow icon or we can click on this checkbox to expand the data for a proper bifurcation of opening balance, which is opening as on 1st of January 2024, then the debit and the credit value for which the transaction has been updated between this given date range, and then the closing balance, which is the data as on 31st 3 2024. Now you are also getting a checkbox over here just for your checking the balances. As you can see, the moment I'm clicking on these checkbox, some total is getting reflected towards your left bottom corner, showing you a proper consolidated figure or the balances as per the selection. Now again, we have the Excel option, PDF option, and the browser print option for this report as well. Now, if we click on, we can view the same kind of data ledger-wise as well. For if you want to see the data for a specific ledger, you can simply search the specific ledger and click on search. The data will get extracted over here. Now, let's switch to our fourth report, which is ledger group breakup. The ledger group breakup report, again, you have to select a proper date range. Again, 1st January to 31st of March. Then the ledger group name as indirect expenses. Then the cost category, which is again business nature. You can always select all as well. And then we'll click on search. Then as you can see towards your left, it is reflecting as ledger group name, then the ledger name, then the cost category, the cost center, which is selected in the transaction, and then the amount. So all these details with this format, with this bifurcation will be reflecting under the report named as ledger group breakup. And again, you have a drill down of these reports as well, which will redirect you to the ledger report, wherein the ledger will be selected as well as the cost center, appropriate cost center will be selected for which you want to have a bifurcation of, so that you can have a detailing of transactions under which these details has been updated. So you can simply open the transaction and verify your data, whether the data is updated correctly or what all details are there. And again, you are getting a checkbox option, which will give you a consolidated balance figure towards your bottom left. And then you are having the option of export as well with the browser print option. So we have already discussed about the PL columnar report, PL columnar segment wise, cost group report, and ledger group breakup. So next we will be quickly getting into the option of cost category ledger breakup, and let's check how the format of cost category ledger breakup helps the management in viewing the report. So again, you are getting an option of from data and to that, and then you'll have to select appropriate cost category, which in my example is business nature. And then the ledger group name, say suppose all over here, or you can always go with a specific ledger group as well. I'm clicking over here as all, and then I will click on search. What all details are reflecting in my system? The first column is showing me the bifurcation of cost category, then the cost center name, then comes the ledger group name and ledger name, and then reflects the amount column. Again, these reports are having a columnar filter option as well, so that in case if you want to filter any ledger group name or any ledger name to have a proper view, you can always go ahead with that. And then you can simply click on the enter button in any of the cost center reports just to have a proper view or bifurcation of the data which is reflecting in your report. And then you have a checkbox towards your left, which will help you in viewing the balances as per your selections towards your left bottom corner. And we do have an export option as well as the browser print option for cost category ledger group report as well. Then comes our fifth or sixth report name, which is cost center summary. And over here, you will be getting an option to search the data with cost category. So I will search as business nature, and then I will click on search. Now, what all details this report is showing me? This report is showing me the bifurcation in the form of income value, expense value, and the related net figure, which is profit and loss, with the further bifurcation of liability value, asset value, and the net value. So let's expand this. So the moment we expand this, we will get a clear bifurcation cost center wise for income value, expense value with the profit and loss figure, also with liabilities, assets, and the net value figure. Again, you have a drill down to the ledger report over there. Sorry, not ledger report, profit and loss report, which will give you a brief idea of what details or how the figures are getting derived in the report. Again, we have an export option with Excel, PDF, and the browser print option for cost center summary report. Then comes a fresh report, usually used for the most used report of cost report, which is cost center register. So one we have cost center register and the other one is cost center register pivot. Now both these reports are interrelated, but at the same time both the reports has different purpose to serve. Let's check out. Now when we click on this option of cost center register, there is no search button. The report will get extracted in a columnar format in your Excel. So we'll click on cost center register, the date range, then the cost category as business nature. And then here we are getting the option of selecting voucher types. So let's select all voucher types. You can always select the specific voucher types for which you want to extract the data. And then you can click on Export Excel. Let's check out how does the report reflects. So basically this report is a columnar report wherein the base is your voucher date first. Like for example, let's take the option of this. Now the report data is of cost center date is 2nd of August. Then this is the voucher type, voucher number, cost center, business nature is my cost category for which I had filtered on the user interface. And then comes in the party name. Then the party GSTI, if it is feeded in your ledger master correctly. What is the primary group of the highlighted party name? Then the party amount, depending on the nature, it will get extracted, and then all the other ledgers, related ledgers which are used in your entry or in your transactions will be reflected with starting with the initials of CC underscore amount, and then it gets addressed by the ledger name which is being used in your transaction. So all these data will be reflecting in your columnar format for a proper bifurcation of data for your cost center report. So yeah, this was about the cost center register report, which is newly implemented, but yet of a lot of use. Then comes the cost center register pivot option. Now let's check out what is the difference between cost center register and the pivot report. So we'll have to select this report, then the date range, then comes the cost category, which is business nature. And then comes the ledger name. You can always select an appropriate ledger or all ledger in case if you want to extract the data. And then comes your voucher type selection, which again I will be selecting as all. And then we will be exporting the data in pivot format. So let's quickly check out how does this report works. So this report again is a columnar report, but the difference from the previous report is only that we are having the segment name over here, then the date, then comes the voucher type, voucher nature, then the voucher number. You can have a multiple repetition in case if you are using multiple cost centers in your transaction. Like as you can see in my example, 4 rows are of same transaction. It is getting repeated itself. Now, why it is getting repeated? Let's check out. Voucher nature, voucher number, then comes the place of supply. Place of supply of what? Place of supply of party. Then the party code, which is the ledger code, which is feed in on our ledger master. Then comes the party GSTI, which is the GSTI. If the GSTI is updated in your ledger master, it will reflect against your party name. Then comes the PAN number, then comes the state, then comes the ledger group nature, and then comes the party ledger group. And now comes the amount column, which is the party amount. So this is the party amount which is reflecting. But since we are having multiple cost centers used in this transaction, and so the party amount is reflecting only at the first row. And the rest of the rows is having the value as 0. Then comes the cost center bifurcation. As you can see, three bifurcations are reflecting. 3 cost centers are reflecting, which is nature 2A, Vaisakhi, nature 1A, and again Vaisakhi. And the cost categories are reflecting against these cost center. Since this cost center has been used against 2 different expense ledgers or 2 different ledger names, and so it is getting repeated accordingly. Then comes your ledger name, then comes the cost amount which is feeded in your transaction. Then comes your related ledger group of the ledger name which is reflecting in your R column, and the ledger group will be reflecting in your T column. Then comes the ledger code of which ledger? This ledger, the R column. And then comes the GST amount in case if you have used any kind of GST ledgers in your transactions wherein the cost center is also present, then the GST amount consolidated bifurcation will be reflecting against the V column. And then comes the TDS amount. It will show a consolidated TDS amount figure in case if the TDS ledger is being used in your transaction. Then comes nature, then comes bill number, bill date, and the rest 2 columns are actually voucher properties. If voucher properties are being used in your transactions, the headers will be reflecting as voucher keys and the data will be reflecting against the respective rows. So this was all about the cost center report, which is available in our RealBooks. So let's have a quick recap of how many ledger or cost center reports we discussed today. The first one was the PL columnar. Then comes the PL columnar segment wise, wherein the data cannot be loaded at your user interface, but yes, you can extract the data in your Excel format. And then comes the cost group report, then comes the ledger group breakup report, then comes cost category ledger breakup, and then comes cost center summary and our hero reports of cost center register and cost center register pivot. So it is a request for all of you to explore our cost report as per your requirement in your books of accounts and let us know for the feedbacks that you want us to upgrade or enhance in our RealBooks. So thank you so much for joining, everybody. Let's meet in our next session. By the time the Zoom meeting will be enabled for the next 5 minutes. In case if you have any queries, you can quickly put in the chat box so that I can answer them one by one. Thank you so much for joining. Last but not the least, please visit our official website and let us give us feedbacks for the next with sessions that you want us to come up with. So you can always mail your suggestions at support@realbooks.in, and for any kind of query or related questions, you can always contact us at 9910822099. Feel free to contact us, as well as you can have a quick tutorials on our website itself, wherein the option is reflecting as video tutorials, as well as there are different blogs which is available on our system. You can click on resources and click on blogs. Automatically all the details will be reflecting on your screen. There are new releases which is reflecting over here in front of your screen. So you can click on resources and there is an option named as new releases. For keeping yourself updated, you can always visit this page just to know what all new releases we have come up with. And you can always suggest in case you want any briefing on these features, which is reflecting right in front of your screen. Like recently, we had introduced PAN and Aadhaar number verification in RealBooks. Then was introducing an enhanced login experience, which is mobile number OTP login. And then was gain deeper financial insights with RealBooks, enhanced profit and loss reporting. Then was streamlined link selection with segment visibility, for which the session which I was talking about in mid of the cost center session. You can always check out that session and let us know if there is any feedback. Then the enhancement was for find address faster. RealBooks introduces search functionality for accounting vouchers and new view option for IBD vouchers. Then the voucher type wise user permission report, full segment name display on hover, enhanced sale register report, and many more. So we keep upgrading these screens as and when the releases are applicable in our module. So do check out this page and let us know with your feedbacks. Thank you.